Good evening, folks, and good morning. It's the one and only, your boy, the Juice. Who got the juice? Well, it certainly isn't the sheriff, that's for sure. It certainly ain't the sheriff. Let me tell you right now. Nanos is giving interviews, but no press? I don't know what's been going on. We got a lot to talk about today. What the hell is going on? We got DNA on the gloves, but still nothing? That's just crazy, right? So much to talk about, so much to say. Still a whole lot of nothing not happening. We had enough reasonable doubt to get a federal search warrant, which was not easy to get. But no suspects? They killing us softly right now. Harvey from TMZ is still entertaining letters. I just don't get it. What's going on? We got a helicopter with a signal. Get this, man. We got a helicopter with a signal sniffer to detect Nancy's pacemaker somehow. America, are we dumb? Or do we just have the brightest ideas? I'm lost in the sauce, man. Lord help me, man. Lord help me. Oh, man. So much to talk about, so much to say. I figured I had to plug in, man, so we could kind of recap and go over a lot of stuff that maybe people missed. Maybe people missed some stuff. Maybe they didn't have time for Nancy today. I mean, it has been 17 days. So, I mean, I feel like some people kind of getting overwhelmed with the whole situation, and maybe they're giving up on the FBI. Maybe they don't believe the FBI can pull it off. I don't know, man. I don't know. Even if the pacemaker, even if Nancy was no longer alive, I believe the pacemaker, did I say the pacemaker? The paste. Oh my God, the pacemaker. What am I thinking about right now? See, that's how you know I got so much on my mind. But even if the pacemaker, even if she was dead, the pacemaker, I guess, would still work. From what I saw when doing my research, I believe it could work up to about 5 to 15 years is what they're saying. So we'll see. Big welcomes to those of y'all just plugging in. Big welcomes. Welcome to the stream. Man, let's talk about where things stand. And this is from CNN. They actually wrote this, and I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit, just to kind of enlighten everyone on what's going on. It says, investigators have still not identified a leading motive for Nancy Guthrie's February 1 disappearance from her Arizona home, with authorities looking at all possible options. A source told CNN her family members, including her children and their spouses, are not suspects in the case. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos said that on Monday. I'm just confused. So they're no longer suspects, but anybody could still be a suspect? Is that what he meant? Because I think that's what I'm hearing, right? Glove analysts say a glove found near Guthrie's home appears to match the ones worn by a suspect seen in her home. In her home's doorbell, Camera footage, according to the FBI. DNA from the glove is being analyzed in an attempt to identify a suspect as the search stretches into a third week. Today's show host Savannah posted another video, and we just watched that yesterday morning. And that hurt to see, man, because she really did look real sad, and I just hate that she has to go through this right now. I mean, It's just a tough time for the Guthrie family, period. But I had several videos that we were gonna kind of scheme through tonight. You know, of course, Nancy Grace is one of them. You know, she's fire. You know, she go off, man. We have still yet to get any type of I just don't understand what's taking so long. I feel like something there obviously has to be some confrontation, as we all know, with the sheriff and the FBI. From what I heard also is something happened, and for whatever reason, the DNA that's supposed to come back from the gloves is taking a little longer than usual. Now, due to us getting off to an unprofessional start by our lovely sheriff, Nanos there, I don't think these type of events should be occurring, considering we already got off to a rocky start. But that's just me. That's just me, though. Looks like we're still yet to figure out who this guy is, but supposedly it's in the mix and they got something cooking up for us. But only time will tell, guys. Only time will tell. And as I said earlier, I said, who got the juice? And it certainly ain't the sheriffs. I feel like the suspect right now got the juice. You know why? Because he's still on the loose and he still hasn't been caught. I'm kind of feeling like something tells me that guy that got pulled over in the Range Rover at Clover's the other night, as well as, you know, because it was also related to the Clover incident, at the home, which was supposedly an Airbnb. There were 3 other suspects that got detained, and they were supposed to have, it was supposed to be related to the incident that happened at Culver's. I guess one of those guys, I guess those guys are supposed to, I think those might be our suspects is what I'm saying. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what they get from the DNA. Supposedly, like I said, the Guthrie family has been ruled out as suspects, but as far as I'm concerned, no one's been ruled out as a suspect. All right, it's not over till it's over, and they don't find out till they find out. I just don't understand why they would do that. Get these guys' hopes up, and then you never know what could happen. And then for all we know, Tommaso still has a big part in this. You know, I feel like we've gotten far enough to prove that he's not the suspect, but I can't really even say that. I did have a video I wanted to show you guys here, from Mr. Harvey here. He had got another note in regards to Nancy Guthrie, and I wanted to play this video because, first of all, it's kind of upsetting to me because I'm just kind of tired of Harvey kind of being in the middle of this. I don't feel like he should be putting himself in the middle of this whatsoever. But somehow he is in the middle of it because he's reading letters from someone that's obviously somewhat involved in this thing or was present during one point in time, when they were crossing the border, he states in this note here. And I guess apparently he saw Nancy as well, but I don't know. I don't know if all that's true. And that's the problem with me. If it's not true, I feel like Harvey's not making it easier on the family, and he's just added more to the pile. I don't even know. I almost wonder if Harvey has been communicating with the Guthrie family. I mean, he's literally putting himself in it. I mean, there's no way I'm not reaching out to this guy if I'm Savannah, because he's been communicating somewhat with a person that has something to do with, Nancy Guthrie going missing. So I just don't get that, and it's kind of making me frustrated. I'm not going to lie, bro. I'm not going to lie. I'm trying to pull up. Let me move this. Got a photo in the way here. And I got to play this video from Harvey so everybody can hear this. And I know a lot of you probably already heard it. But it's always good to hear it again.
It is Monday morning. We have received a fourth letter from the same person who says that he knows where Nancy Guthrie is and he wants money in return for the information. Essentially, he wants the reward. So I have something to say to you, and I have already talked to the FBI about this, that if you are not real, you're committing a crime, and you should know that. And this is a serious federal crime. If you are real, this is the fourth letter you've sent, and I should tell everybody that in this letter, it says, I know what I saw 5 days ago south of the border, and I was told to shut up, so I know who he is, and that was definitely Nancy with them. This is the second time he has referred to more than one person involved in this. He said there was a main person and there are others, and he said it here. He is saying that Nancy was taken to Mexico. Now, this is what he's saying. I'm not going to vouch for him, but this is the fourth letter. We have sent them all on to the FBI. And he also says one of the reasons he's worried about coming forward is he has a record. He has a burglary on his record from 10 years ago. So I don't know if you're real or not if you're watching this, but if you are, and I have told the FBI that we're going to do this, they know this, that if you're worried about getting this money.
Here's the thing for me, too. If this guy is supposedly smart, the first note, we obviously observed and confirmed that he has very good grammar. And I guess that gave us the vibe that he was a very articulate person. He was very smart. And if he is on that level, then knowing that Harvey is going to continue to send every bit of what he sends to him directly to the FBI, what would really stop him from reaching out to the FBI besides, him worried about being caught? I mean, if they wanted to, could be right there next. For all we know, they could be right there next to Harvey using the same type of technology that they would use if he was, in contact with them directly. So I feel like this is just all like bullshit. I'm sorry.
And you really do have this information. Send it to us. You're sending us these letters. Send it to us. We will forward it to the FBI. And that way there's a record that we have that you supplied this information. If they find her and they find the kidnapper, then at least there is evidence, because we have it, that you're the one who provided the information. So this is a way for you to get that money if this really is legitimate. Send us the information. We will pass it on to the FBI. Okay, that said, a couple of points. One is the glove. I hope that glove has DNA that leads authorities to this kidnapper. But it is weird to me, because if somebody is at that house and they take Nancy and they get in a car to drive off, the first thing they're going to do is take the gloves off, because it's real hard to drive with gloves like that. And if the gloves go off and they're placed in the car,
I don't think I agree with that. And the fact that they got to, first of all, they found DNA in the house, okay? So today was the day we discovered that they found someone's DNA in the house, and that DNA is confirmed to have no relations with the family. Now, I don't know how, just by them confirming that that doesn't have to, it has no relations with the family, that's our guy that went in there that day. However they put together that, we don't know. But for whatever reason, they've confirmed that this person has no relations to the family at all. They don't know this guy. I don't know, man.
how does it end up 2 miles away on the side of the road? It just is weird. It just is OJ-esque and doesn't make sense. And the other thing is that, you know, there are different theories here about, was this a burglary, was this a ransom? As you know, we and several others have received ransom notes, and the FBI is keenly interested in these notes, I can tell you that. This seems a weird type of burglary, because if it were a burglary, number one, why would somebody be dressed head to toe that way? And number two, if it's a burglary and somebody wants to go in and root around for jewelry or whatever, it would seem to be difficult opening drawers and grabbing things with gloves like that. And if you take the gloves off, then you're going to put your fingerprints on something. So what's the point of gloves in the first place? So this does not feel like a burglary, somebody dressed head to toe with gloves like that. And if it were a burglary, you know, the easiest thing to do, if they knew anything about Nancy, is she goes to church. They could have just gone in on Sunday morning.
Why does everybody keep saying today that this is a burglary? Like, I hear a lot of people leaning in the direction of this being a burglary. Why is everyone convinced? Excuse me. Why is everybody convinced that this is a burglary? I mean, we don't even know. As far as I'm concerned, as far as the things that I've heard, the things that I've discovered, they took nothing. The man went in there with a backpack full. And you know what was in that backpack? I know exactly what was in that backpack. I'm going to tell y'all right now. I know what was in that backpack. You know, I want to know what y'all think was in that backpack. I think I asked this question yesterday. But you never know. Your answer might change today than it did yesterday, because we all been constantly thinking and reflecting on this whole thing. So I know for a fact exactly what was in that bag. What would you put in that bag if you were going to kill somebody or rob them? Just think about it.
She was at church. So this just doesn't feel like a burglary. That's my opinion. That is not fact. I have talked to one law enforcement source who is like-minded in that. But I want to end by repeating that if the person who has sent us these 4 demand letters is real, and I'm questioning...
Yo, Justice, big welcomes. What up, though?
But if you are, then send us the information. We will immediately pass it on to the FBI. Then you have a record that you're the one, if it's legit, who led them to Nancy and the kidnappers, and that will help you get the money.
So my man Harvey coming through with another freaking video, man. Another one. He just keeps rolling. He keeps rolling with the videos. He won't stop. And I'm getting tired of it, because I don't feel like he should be in the middle of something like this. This is huge, man. This is huge. I mean, Harvey, when are you going to stop entertaining these notes? Maybe they are real. Maybe they're legitimate notes from someone who actually has some type of interference with these two, possibly three suspects. Maybe so. But I think something like that should be confidential to the point where he's not expressing this to the world. We got somebody's life on the line, and we're still hopeful that this person is out there still alive. Why are we jeopardizing that? I feel like any little thing and everything at this point is jeopardizing Nancy's life at this point. They already said, Savannah already said that she was going to send the money. She said, we will pay. And then they didn't pay. I feel like a lot of us are at conclusion that this lady is no longer with us anymore. And I agree, but I'm still hopeful that she's out there somewhere. And even if she's not, hopefully they're still able to find her. And most importantly, at this point, since we're all thinking that Nancy's no longer with us, then get those guys. Go get them. Lock them dudes up. The dudes look like monsters, man. They are scaring our community. They are literally scaring our community. It's crazy, man. I'm nervous even going to my own car at night. I'm not even going to lie. Not even going to lie to you, man. It's a scary, scary thing. So I had a video I had to share with y'all tonight, and I had to start it off like this because they did mention today that they were off the leash. The family was off the leash. As far as them being any suspects, I thought this guy had some interesting things to say in regards to what we all thought in the beginning, what the world thought. And that was Tommaso being, one of the primary suspects because he was the one who took Nancy home that night. I believe he watched her go inside, which was roughly 2 minutes in between the time that the garage opened and closed. So I think that's why it brought a lot of attention to Tommaso.
So I never really liked the Annie Guthrie angle. The only reason why I didn't want to go the Annie Guthrie route was because she is Nancy's own child, right? Her daughter. And we never want to think about something that negative, at least right off the bat. We'll leave that to the detectives, right? However, something has triggered my suspicions when Savannah Guthrie recently made another video, okay? One that is trying to basically reason with the human side of the culprits. It's a very heartbreaking video when you think about, the underlying circumstances. But as I'm watching it, my mind started wandering somewhere else, right? And this is what got me, okay? On February 4th, we got the first video, okay? The siblings are all around Savannah as she is doing most of the talking, okay? That would make sense. And there is Annie, dressed in a white shirt with big framed glasses, looking sad, okay? Then surprisingly, on February 5th, we get a video from Cameron, okay? He's a retired U.S. Air National Guard pilot, and you could tell that he's not used to speaking on camera. He seems a bit awkward, and he has his script ready to read.
we got to go back real quick.
I will say this though,
I got something I need to point out right here.
He was compelled to make this video even if it was against his nature, right? He is not the star that Savannah is.
Let me go back here. So you see in the photo right here how you see Savannah, she's got the paper in her hand. So she's looking at that paper. Notice how Annie, which is her sister, has a paper as well. And I just thought that was interesting because why do they both have a paper? Was Annie supposed to take a part in this message and say something? Because I've yet to hear Annie say one word. I don't know about you guys, but I've yet to hear Annie say one word at all. But if you look at that photo, they both are holding a paper. And of course, probably a lot of you guys are going to think that the reason why she's holding that paper is because they both have the same thing on it. And maybe they were going to take a part in it. I don't know. But we already know who's leading the way here, obviously. And that's going to be Savannah. But I figured I'd bring that to y'all attention, man. I mean, I just thought that was a little odd that they both had a paper. And I just felt like Annie was supposed to speak during this time. And I think just maybe emotion got the best of them. And things just kind of went by fast. And she didn't have that opportunity to speak. Or maybe there was a part in this video that she was going to speak. And they just cut it off. They cut it at one point. And they didn't send us the whole video. I don't know.
White shirt with big framed glasses. Looking sad. Okay. Then surprisingly, on February 5th, we get a video from Cameron. Okay. He's a retired U.S. Air National Guard pilot. And you could tell that he's not used to speaking on camera. He seems a bit awkward and he has his script ready to read. I will say this though. He was compelled to make this video even if it was against his nature, right? He is not.
Did Annie say something in that video? I don't recall Annie ever speaking. I only remember her, Savannah, and the brother. Oh, so she did. Okay.
Another plea.
Thanks for correcting that, Justice.
And now we go to February 7th, and we get the second joint video of all the siblings. Again, Savannah is in the center. They're all holding hands. And Savannah delivers a more
shout out Monk, by the way, man. I like his
one
videos.
That I personally felt that they still had no proof of life, at that point, and that would mark a 1 week period since their mother vanished. Now we go to February 9th. We see Savannah, and she's all by herself, just like her brother did, And she sends out a heartbreaking message, right? An hour of desperation, as she put it. Following day, she would share photos and videos of the family, of their mother, making the tragedy all the more human, more real for all of us. And then just yesterday, at least yesterday from me making this video, February 15th, okay? Savannah made another video, right? No makeup. Just raw emotions, no scripts. And when I watched it, you could see this is a woman that is basically at her wit's end, okay? Her heart is broken, telling her mother's kidnappers to do the right thing. That final video from Savannah, it really got to me, but not in the way that you might expect, okay? So here's the problem. There is a glaring absence here. Annie Guthrie, and she is the poet of the family, the one that should have the right words to reach her mother's abductors, on that human level. Is she still crafting the perfect?
So from what I heard, Tommaso does poetry as well. There's another part in this video that's very interesting as well. He kind of breaks down their income. I talked about that the very first video that I did, the very first live that I did. I talked about that. So I don't know if anybody was here, they remember that, but I did talk about that. And I'm surprised just hearing this guy's video how on point I was when I was talking about their income and them being able to afford the home that they're in right now. Because right now they are in about a $600,000 home. So I obviously think that they're getting that financial support from Savannah quite often, which hopefully they're highly thankful and there's no jealousy. Otherwise, we obviously are. There's obviously something wrong with what just happened. I think that's gonna make us think even more of what we already think. Considering we feel like they have something to do with it. So,
video after 2 weeks. I mean, well, what about her husband? The man that is the last person to see Nancy alive. Wouldn't it be helpful if he were to make a simple statement. Answer a few questions about what exactly happened, in that 4-mile drive back to Nancy's house, right? This is a couple that can answer a lot of unanswered questions, but we're hearing from the other siblings that were not even in the state. Some things that I would ask is, did you guys really play mahjong? And who is the fourth person? What did you guys eat? Was your son around, right? But instead, what do we get? Complete radio silence. Now, here's the only reason that I could come up with. The only thing that made sense. And that is because they have lawyered up. Now I'll say it is a smart move given that they were the last people to see Nancy Guthrie alive, right? But still, it looks suspicious in terms of public opinion, and I am the public, and it looks suspicious, right? Tommaso is or was the prime suspect right from the get-go. I believe this. No one's gonna verify this for us at this moment, so this is all we have to go with, right? Speculation. Now let's go ahead and get to the core point of this video, okay? We're gonna take a look at Annie and Tommaso's big purchase in 2025. Now, the things that I could gather about Annie Guthrie is that she is listed as a creative professional based in Tucson, Arizona. Now, I'm just going to be blunt about this, okay? Whenever I hear these new ways of describing one's profession, it reminds me of the times that we got sandwich artist or a delivery specialist. These titles were meant to boost morale, okay? I used to work at McDonald's. I told everybody I flipped burgers at McDonald's. I was a fast food worker. I was not a cashier money counting specialist. So Annie is a creative professional. And under this umbrella, we have writer, poet, and educator.
Just look at her, man. She looks just evil to me. I don't know why I get that vibe when I look at Annie. I feel like she could be so nice, but then there's just like this evil side, like that. Just you wouldn't see it unless you know what I'm saying. Y'all were behind closed doors and no one was around. I don't know why I get that vibe.
Extremely vague descriptions, okay? But maybe she's just a private person, right? Her main income, though, appears to be something in the realm of jewelry. Handcrafted, custom, commission-based jewelry. So with something like that, I can only imagine that the income is going to fluctuate, right? Very irregular. We technically have no clue. However, she does work for a nonprofit, and those, I guess, is in the public sphere because people have dug up her nonprofit filings for the University of Arizona. The Poetry
He goes by the name of Monk.
Okay? And it lists her from having made $0 to $28,000, right? A big, giant, vast gap of money. Nevertheless, as we go forward, I will be generous with these numbers, okay? So let's move on to Tommaso Cioni, and he is a 6th grade teacher, and that's the clarity that we want to work with here. He teaches science and AP biology to 6th graders, which I never knew existed, but maybe I wasn't that smart of a 6th grader, okay? So the median salary of elementary school teachers in that area, in Tommaso's position, we're looking at $50K and on the high end $65K, and we're gonna be generous. We're gonna give Tommaso the high end. We're gonna say he makes $65,000 a year. Now, as we've learned, he's also a part of a band. I don't know if the band is defunct today. It seems like it is. If you go to the band's Facebook page, you go to the tour dates, they haven't done much since 2017, so I'm assuming maybe they just do it as a hobby nowadays. But in terms of making money, I think it's just for fun. They're not making money. If anything, the equipment, the time might be losing money. Now, I told you, we're going to be generous about everything we're going to do here, okay? We're going to be generous with Tommaso's salary and bump it up to $70K. A nice, even number.
So
and let's
Tommaso,
just double that,
you say Tommaso makes about $65,000 a year just being a teacher. And he's a teacher up in Oro Valley. And Oro Valley is probably about a good 20 minutes from where he lives and where Nancy lives. It's not too far away. It is another city, obviously. I I've never heard that as well. I thought biology was something that you do when you are at the high school level.
Annie makes 70K as well. So now we're
Irrelevant,
at
though.
140K combined. And let's just go ahead and round that up to 150K to make the math easier for everybody. Hey, you never know. Maybe Annie's poetry book is selling like hotcakes. But with just 2 reviews on Amazon, that is highly unlikely. Now, honestly, just going by
Wow,
what we can see,
that's just sad.
you know, I think they
That's
make
sad.
well below 150K a year. That being said, I found their old house. Okay, this is a house that they've been living in since 2016, and its selling price in 2025, when they sold it, is $379,000. That's when Annie and Tommaso moved into their new home, the one in which Nancy came over that night for games and dinner, okay? And this new house is worth $675,000. So the equation that we're trying to get at today is, can $150,000 a year maintain and purchase, well, basically purchase and maintain a $650,000 house comfortably? So first, we should always think about Uncle Sam, and we're going to pay the taxes first, which comes out to roughly $110,000, okay? Now we're going to use the Zillow buyability calculator, which I found out does not take out the taxes for you. So since we've been generous so far, we're going to take out the taxes first. That's the least we can do since we've been so generous, right? So once all the numbers are punched in, let's go ahead and see what we get. I want you to look at that down payment by itself. Okay, now it's completely possible that Annie and Tommaso just had 200K plus laying around for that down payment. What do you guys think? And if I had to guess what you guys are thinking, I'm thinking.
But that doesn't prove
very
that.
rich Guthrie
Just considering, the
completely possible that Annie and
credit.
Tommaso
You know what I'm
just
saying?
had.
If you have good credit, I don't think that your down payment would be 200,000. It could be less, right? I mean, that's just what I'm thinking. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. Never bought a house yet, so I wouldn't
200K
know.
plus laying around for that down payment. What do you guys think? And if I had to guess what you guys are thinking, I'm thinking a very rich Guthrie comes to mind, okay? And honestly, she seems like a sweetheart. She seems like she would help her sister out, right? What's 200 plus K to her to down payment a house for her sister and her brother-in-law so that they could be closer to their mother, Nancy, because Annie is the primary caretaker of their mother. I do believe she is the designated caretaker of Nancy. Here's the tricky part about this home upgrade, okay? Besides the property tax, which in Pima County alone for a $650,000 house, right? Theirs was $675,000. So roughly, it's going to be $5,500 per year just for your taxes. A larger, more expensive house is automatically going to come with a larger, more expensive premium on the homeowner's insurance. And that's a growing cost that grows all the time at 7 to 10% clips. Of course, you have the rising utility bills. Okay, bigger house, more power, and those pesky maintenance and repairs. And this is a house that we can say is at least 30 years old, and that's a guesstimate because in that zip code, that area, houses range from 30 to 60 years old. We haven't talked about basic human comforts, right? The lifestyle that they're used to, right? Luxuries. On top of all that, they have a young son. And that's a whole variety of different expenses. And remember, okay, it's impossible to factor Annie's creative professional salary, income that she makes every single year. So the only thing we have to go on is at least Tommaso's salary as a 6th grade teacher. So I'm really hoping Annie makes a lot of money from her side ventures, because if she does not, if she makes less than Tommaso, in which it looks like she does, this is not going to be pretty. They are literally living way beyond their means. And the saying is living paycheck to paycheck. This would pretty much be living, at this point, credit card to credit card. And
I don't know, guys, what y'all think about that? Or maybe, just maybe Savannah's supporting them in that way. Maybe, she is, paying for their home. Maybe that's how they're able to maintain. Because it is a very big house. It's about pretty dang near the size of Nancy's house. And we know Nancy has a fairly big home. I don't know how much her home is, but it is a fairly big home. So, with that being said, they definitely have to have, be receiving some type of help from Savannah. I'm only guessing that though. I'm not sure. Because people do. There's a lot of opportunity nowadays. So you can't really say someone is not able to afford their home, considering there are a lot of perks out there which do help you financially. So I can't call it. Anyways, I had a couple more videos here I wanted to share with y'all today. I believe this is News Nation. They had an interesting, just kind of brief outlook on today, which I thought was it was alright. But I figured I wanted to share that as well before I get into the Nancy
in Arizona,
Grace video.
Where the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie is now in its third week. New this afternoon, the Pima County Sheriff has officially cleared the entire Guthrie family as possible suspects. That includes all siblings and their spouses. Sheriff Chris Nano said in a statement that, quote, the family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims in this case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel. With the family cleared, investigators remain focused on the evidence. The suspense at this hour centers around forensics.
That is not exactly what he said. Go back. Don't make me pull up the Nano's video right now, because that's not what he said. That is not what he said. She literally changed up the last bit of words that he said.
In a statement that, quote, the family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims in this case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel. With the family cleared, investigators remain focused.
So when he said it's wrong and it's cruel, after that he went on to say that no one was ruled out as a suspect. He made it clear that this is still an investigation and no one is not a suspect until they find the actual suspect, period. I don't know why people are saying they're ruled out, but they must know something then. If they're 100% sure that the family is ruled out, then that would mean they know who their suspect is, and they just haven't told us yet.
Focused on the evidence. The suspense at this hour centers around forensics. Specifically, police are awaiting DNA results from a glove found 2 miles from Guthrie's home. That might not seem significant. Authorities have found at least 16 gloves in their search, many of them belonging to other searchers, but the FBI says this one is different. It appears to visually match the glove of the masked suspect in that surveillance video from Guthrie's.
Which another reason why it tells me that they know something they haven't released to the public yet, because how are they confirming that that matches the suspect that went into Nancy's home that night if the glove wasn't found in the home? And where did they find their DNA? Since they found DNA in the home, where was that DNA found from? I don't think I've heard yet where that DNA was discovered in the home.
Front door camera. Now, testing is underway to find the person who wore it. And police aren't just focusing on the gloves from that video. The Pima County Sheriff says his team is consulting with Walmart because the suspect's clothing appears to come from the retail giant. In fact, Walmart exclusively sells that 25-liter Ozark Hiker backpack that the suspect was wearing in that video. Meanwhile, another day, another note to TMZ. They have received a fourth message from a man who says he can end all of this right now and reveal the kidnapper's identity. This time, he's even hinting, again, all without proof, that Nancy Guthrie is south of the border. He is reiterating his demand for $50,000 in Bitcoin up front for that information. In just a moment, I'll speak live with TMZ's co-executive producer about this brand new message. As this search surpasses 2 weeks, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie put out another public plea, this time speaking directly to the person who has her mother.
And I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is.
Poor Savannah, she looks terrible.
It's never too late. And you're not lost or alone.
Savannah looks like she ain't even ate since the day her mom went missing. I mean, I know I can't call that, but I mean, it just looks like she's not even eating. Man.
And it is never too late to do the right thing.
All right, let's get our coverage started with News Nation's Brian Enton live for us on the ground in Tucson outside Nancy Guthrie's home. Brian, what are you seeing at this hour?
Elizabeth, I have some brand new reporting that I just confirmed in the last couple of minutes, and that is that FBI agents have been to several gun stores right here in the Tucson area. And when they show up to the gun stores, I have learned that they have 40 names and 40 photographs that they are showing employees of the gun stores and asking them if any of those people have been inside the store.
See, that's what I'm saying, guys. Here's the problem, bro. How is the family ruled out if they got 40 names? Go back to what he just said right now.
Or if any of those people have purchased
just go back.
Weapons. So that's brand new. Again, we just confirmed. Stores, I have learned that they have 40 names and 40 photographs that they are showing employees of the gun stores and asking them if any of those people.
So they're going around showing employees so far at a gun store is what I just heard. 40 names. What is that going to do? Because they said how many gloves were found? Because workers, by the way, some of these FBI people that I did see, it does, just looking at them, they look like they're beginners. And also, I think Brian was the one who stated it today, but just so y'all know, for some insight, 96 FBI's were rough. I think it was about 96. But anyways, 40 of the 96, about 43 of the 96 are all fresh up out the academy is what they said. They said a lot of these guys, a majority of these guys are brand new. They don't have no experience. This whole thing has just been everywhere. Up and down, back and forth. I mean, it's been everywhere.
People have been inside the store, or if any of those people have purchased weapons. So that's brand new. Again, we just confirmed that. In terms of the DNA testing, there's a lot evolving there too. News Nation's Libby Dean has confirmed that the DNA that was pulled off of a glove about 2 miles from where I'm standing outside Nancy Guthrie's house, the DNA has yet to be put into the CODIS FBI database, but that it is going to be happening soon, which is significant because once they get it into the database, at that point, they will be able to cross-reference it against other criminals who are in that database and perhaps maybe make a match. And lastly, Elizabeth, remember Friday night there was that big FBI raid that we were at. There were no arrests made, but I am told not to think that that is totally off the table yet in terms of possibly being connected. There was a federal search warrant that was conducted, which means a federal judge had to sign off on it, which means that there was some meat on the bones there, I'm told, in terms of how that home and those people could have possibly been connected to the Nancy Guthrie investigation.
By the way, guys, just so you're enlightened, a federal search warrant is not easy to get. By all means, it's not easy to get. So they must have had some. They had something. They had to have something to be able to to go in that Airbnb, or if it was an actual somebody's home and it wasn't an Airbnb. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't confirmed whether or not it was an Airbnb. I think it's somebody's home. I don't think it's an Airbnb. Well, we all know an Airbnb is somebody's home, but I think the guys that they caught there live there, as well as the mom. I don't think that they were renting, but that's just me. But yeah.
And that they are still going over the evidence right now, electronics, and that there was even DNA taken. So I'm told to be patient on that front, that there could still be more coming soon, Elizabeth.
Brian, who are these 40 people, these pictures?
House. The DNA has yet to be get it into the database. At that point, they will be able to cross-reference it against other criminals who are in that database and perhaps maybe make a match. And lastly, Elizabeth, remember Friday night there was that big FBI raid that we were at. There were no arrests made, but I am told not to think that that is totally off the table yet in terms of possibly being connected. There was a federal search warrant that was conducted, which means a federal judge had to sign off on it, which means that there was some meat on the bones there, I'm told, in terms of how that home and those people could have possibly been connected to the Nancy Guthrie investigation, and that they are still going over the evidence right now.
There's no way, if we're going around with a list of 40 people, I'm going to tell you right now, that those guys are the suspects. I mean, if they're going around at gun stores and whatnot trying to figure it out, then those guys are for certainly let off the leash. I mean, why are we showing people 40 people? That's going to take a long time for somebody to sit down and go through. If that's what they're doing. I mean, I think that's what he said.
Electronics, and that there was even DNA taken. So I'm told to be patient on that front, that there could still be more coming soon, Elizabeth.
Brian, who are these 40 people, these pictures that the FBI is taking to local gun stores? Do we know?
We don't know the names, but again, we just confirmed this. So they have 40 names and 40 pictures. Does that mean that there are 40 persons of interest? 40 people that they're interested in? Are they putting some pictures and names in there just to sort of, that aren't even involved, just to kind of like, you know, throw people off a little bit? We don't know, but...
Yeah, we do know. We do know. That's just ridiculous.
I do know that we've confirmed several gun shops. They say the FBI agents have shown up with 40 names and 40 photos. This is just within the last couple of days, and have asked them whether they have been inside the shop or whether they have purchased a gun.
All right, if you managed to learn from your sources how they landed on...
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys, but it just sounds like to me we don't have a suspect. It really sounds like we don't have a suspect. I really don't even know what we're waiting for at this point, because it just doesn't even seem like they have DNA. I mean, it seems like they have DNA, but it doesn't. We don't know where they got the DNA from. It's confirmed to come from the home. That was the break of today, that we got DNA inside of that home, and it had no relations to the family members. So that is why they got let off the hook as far as any other family members being a suspect or a possible suspect in this whole Nancy Guthrie thing. But the fact that they're going around and looking, trying to figure this thing out, tells me that we just don't have what we're looking for yet. We don't have a suspect, guys. We don't. Let's just face it. We don't. We're still waiting on results to come back. Like I said earlier, that I think it was delayed because of something that went on, some type of interference. I have no idea. But that has to do with the FBI and the sheriffs not getting along. I just don't know where this is going to go, but it just sounds like this is not going to go where we want it to go. And it sounds like it's going to be a very long time before we figure out anything. I had high hopes for today, I'm not going to lie. I had very high hopes for today that we were going to catch a real good break. and they were going to track and find these guys down. It's a lot of pressure. I get it. It's a lot of pressure on the FBI and the sheriffs, considering there's just a whole lot of media attention involved. I mean, they're highly pressured to try to figure this thing out and crack this case. And I think a lot of us are confident that they're going to be able to crack this case. I'm upside down. I got to be honest. I'm everywhere right now with it. I really don't know what to think. Because part of me is confident that we are going to crack this thing, and then the other part of me is not. What do y'all think he had in that bag, guys? I wanted to talk about that before I go into the Nancy Grace video. I have a very good idea of what he had in that bag. I think I know exactly what he had in that bag. A change of clothes, a pair of new shoes to switch out in, and a change of clothes. And personally for me, because they're trying to separate a burglar from someone who's a killer, and I feel like, I mean, I get it. I get that they're different and they handle things differently, but it doesn't mean that a burglar can't come, turn into a cold killer in one night. It's highly possible. And some of these guys that are burglars are prepared for that. Not every burglar that goes in the home has something to lose. And I don't know why we're overlooking that. I mean, they keep trying to compare the two and separate the two. But at the same time, if I'm going to burglarize a home and I'm going to go into a home, or I'm going to go into a home and I'm going to kill somebody, I'm still changing clothes for either scenario. I'm changing clothes right after. It's that simple. For me, it is. But I guess not everyone thinks it through.
I wanted to come on, and it's been 2 weeks since our mom was taken, and I just wanted to come on and say that we still have hope, and we still believe. And I wanted to say to whoever...
FBI definitely have not cleared Annie and Tommaso. We saw this video already, guys. I'm going to skip this up. But, man, I'm guaranteeing you, bro. I'm almost 100% sure that it was a change of clothes in that bag.
Reaches out to TMZ for the 4th time, still demanding $50,000 in Bitcoin up front. Then he will provide the information, a burglary on his record from 10 years ago, so he's scared to come forward, presumably fearing he'd be implicated. TMZ replies directly to the individual with an offer. If you are for real, send us the information regarding the whereabouts of Nancy and her kidnappers. We will immediately forward the information to the FBI. If it leads to finding Nancy and or the kidnappers, you then have a public record that you are the one responsible, thus ensuring you will get the reward. The FBI is aware we are making this overture. This is the second note received by TMZ after the rat said there would be no more communication.
Breaking news, Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie, missing day 16, and that plea from our friend Savannah Guthrie, the most heartbreaking plea as of tonight. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us. Savannah Guthrie, beaten down, exhausted, obviously not eating, appeals to the essential goodness, she says, that is in every human being, begging them it's not too late to do the right thing. Obviously stating she believes her mother, Nancy, is alive. Also at this hour, breaking developments over the last weekend, over the last day. Straight out to Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter. DNA, tell me everything.
All right, starting at the beginning, Nancy. DNA found at Nancy Guthrie's home has been determined to belong to someone not in close contact with Nancy Guthrie. This is explosive information, as it's the first indicator we have that DNA belonging to someone not related, not in close contact with Nancy, found at the home.
So we have the DNA, but we don't know who that person is. So maybe they're just going around with some random possible suspects that they got tips from, until they get that DNA actual result back with a name on it. Is that what we're waiting for?
Nancy, we also have the glove. The glove found about 1.5 miles from Nancy's home. That too is being tested, and that too has male DNA. The glove with the DNA looks like the glove we saw in the surveillance video from the Nest camera on Nancy Guthrie's front door. That glove that we saw in that video is what appears to be the glove found in the desert 1.5 miles from her home with male DNA. So those are your two big...
I want to go back to that real quick.
With male DNA.
Just real quick, I want to go back to that real quick. It's really hard to see that map. I just wanted to see if they had Annie's home mapped out on the map. I really feel like they should have put Annie's home up there just to see how far away that was, because I wanted to see the direction that they were going. But I think if you look where that first red dot at the very bottom is, this is going to be River Road right here. And then you got Guthrie's home, and then so here's the glove. They found the glove right there at the red dot at the very bottom there. And so that would mean from Guthrie's home that they went south and out to River Road. So they had to have gone south out to River Road. But the question to me is, which way did they go? If they found that glove there, then they might have a good idea on direction. And if they can figure out that, we might just find a vehicle. If, just if, that Range Rover isn't our vehicle that we pulled over just a few nights ago at the Culvers.
We saw in that video is what appears to be the glove found in the desert 1.5 miles from her home with male DNA. So those are your two big DNA explosions right now in the investigation.
That's right. The glove found near Nancy Guthrie's home, about 1.5 miles from her home, does contain DNA evidence. All those so-called experts claiming it would not contain DNA are wrong. Also, the glove found with DNA evidence on it appears to be what the suspect in the video was wearing, according to the FBI. The black glove found near Nancy Guthrie's home contains DNA evidence, and it is being tested. We could be hours away from that DNA match. And again, the FBI says the glove appears to match the gloves worn by the suspect on Nancy Guthrie's porch. This guy we're showing you right now. The one with the DNA profile recovered is different from other gloves. What does that mean? That it is different from other gloves? Dave Mack, what other gloves?
Nancy, there have been reportedly 16 other gloves, maybe even more, that have been found in this investigation. So, Nancy, the 16 gloves that have been found range in different colors, from red to brown to black. They range in the different types of gloves that are available.
Straight out to veteran trial lawyer Josh Colesrue joining us, now criminal defense attorney, former federal prosecutor, founder of Colesrue Law Offices. He's joining us from that jurisdiction, Arizona. Josh, In my mind, I have leaped forward to a potential trial. What a field day the defense will have.
You know, even if I'm after thinking about it, even if the gloves are DNA of the FBI's that were out there, or search and rescue that was out there, or anyone who was out there just trying to help look for Nancy, the only thing that is good about it is the fact that they might be able to pull somebody up that, you know, obviously has a close enough picture that might be our match. However, I still feel like at the end of the day, we don't really know exactly who that guy is that was masked up that night he went into Nancy's home. And for whatever DNA that they recovered in the home is going to have to match whatever glove that they find out there. And if it doesn't match, then where are we then? That's all.
With these 16 gloves that are unrelated to the perp on the front porch. Because just as the defense was going to do in the Brian Kohberger case with the glove laying out in the parking lot, it's snowing, somebody dropped their glove out there, that was going to be the SOD, some other dude that did it, right? So I'm happy, I'm thrilled we found a glove that seems to match the one, and you and I talked about it, how sweaty his hands must have gotten during all that, and the scenario of him stripping it off and throwing it out the window as he leaves the scene. But the other gloves are a problem, Colesrud.
They are a huge problem for the prosecution. You know, one of the most important things for a prosecutor is the ability to prove chain of custody, to be able to show that this is the item that we're saying that it is. And when you have, I can't believe this, 16 other gloves that were dropped there by, I don't know, volunteers or people working for law enforcement, like it's beyond imagination that they could do this and contaminate the crime scene.
Straight out to Tammy Ballard joining us. Tammy is a DNA crime scene consultant, crime scene investigation and reconstruction expert. Imported tonight, DNA criminalist for the San Diego Police Crime Lab. Tammy Ballard, this is a bombshell. If these are the gloves worn in the video, let's see the video again, and according to police sources, the perp was wearing gloves under the gloves. We don't know that that's true. Whatever the case, DNA has been found on these gloves. Tammy Ballard, and it is male DNA. What comes next?
Next is the CODIS search. So that's going to be the important search. And it sounds like that's going to happen in real time, something like today. And then they'll know if they have some sort of direction to go with that search, if there's a hit. If not, the next step would intuitively be, can we start with the genealogy process and go down that path with a different DNA profile from the same glove? So hopefully it was a single source enough profile that, and there's DNA remaining so that they might have to be able to share that DNA with that second process for genealogy. But it can be a multi-pronged approach to identify the individual as fast as possible.
Tammy Ballard, what is an STR analysis?
Yeah, see, it seems like this is going to be a process, guys. It feels like this is going to take a very long time. And I almost feel like they're moving as if Nancy is gone, because if we got to wait this long for all of this stuff to come, they might as well consider Nancy gone at this point and just focus on finding the suspects and hoping that we just find Nancy's body at this point. I mean, it's taking way too long. It's just taking way too long.
To identify the individual as fast as possible.
Tammy Ballard, what is an STR analysis?
That is what I would consider your standard DNA testing. Most forensic laboratories across the country, that is what we have all used. It stands for short tandem repeat testing. Very distinct, regulated, validated locations of DNA that are being tested for potential comparison to suspects or uploads into databases.
Would this be a short tandem DNA test, a short tandem repeat?
Yes, it is. This is a traditional STR profile. That is what all of the forensic laboratories are using to compare to a potential suspect.
Indeed, Shannon, I 100% agree. Shannon says, just watch the FBI say for sheriff to be defending family or clearing them is wrong. No one is cleared until someone is arrested and charged. Yes, 100% agree with that. I don't know why everyone's being cleared if we haven't even found a suspect. That doesn't even make any sense.
Okay, then we will take the STR results and put it into CODIS straight out to Brian Fitzgibbons, joining us, Director Operations, USPA Nationwide Security. His specialty, finding missing people. He leads a team of investigators around the world locating missing people. Who is in CODIS?
Yeah, so you're going to have everybody in CODIS that law enforcement has had a sample from, or the FBI has loaded into that system. So there's going to be a limited, it's a vast number of samples, but it is limited in the sense, and Tammy touched on this, that the next step is that forensic genetic genealogy analysis, where you're taking in other sources like Ancestry.com, 23andMe, all those private genetic testing organizations, where investigators will be able to hopefully try to map who this is.
Yes, CODIS, the Combined DNA Index System, an acronym. CODIS is FBI managed. It's software, and it operates on local, state, and national DNA databases. It IDs suspects, and they do that by comparing convicted offenders, not necessarily just felons, misdemeanors sometimes too, all of them across the country, missing people, and DNA found on crime scenes. Brian Kohberger's DNA is now in CODIS. Now, here's the problem with CODIS, and CODIS is fantastic. It matches DNA profiles, even from unsolved cases, to individuals and other crime scenes. It also uses the 20-core short tandem repeat genetic markers. Here's the thing. The only people in CODIS, generally speaking, are convicts. So, if the perp is not already convicted, then once you put the DNA into CODIS, you may not get an identical match, but you may get an match, which would mean the perp is related to the person in CODIS. It could be a brother, a cousin, a dad, a son, a nephew, a distant cousin. You'll get a quasi-match. And that is what happened in Joseph DeAngelo, the Golden State Killer. Once we got a little bit of we had to go back and do genetic genealogy. But right now in CODIS, we will get a match of sorts if there's a relative in CODIS. Tammy Ballard, DNA expert, isn't that true?
Yes, it is going to be a different kind of search in the CODIS database, but first and foremost, you're going to be comparing that traditional STR profile.
She does not want to be found?
To convicted
What do you mean?
offenders who's in this database, but also other forensic unknown cases.
Shannon says, from day one, sheriff was wanted to clear and protect family, which is strange. Yes, I think in a sense because he felt so bad for them, and he knows it's a lot of pressure. It is. It's a lot of pressure for them right now, and for them to have to not only grieve and deal with the whole world pretty much against Tommaso, thinking it was Tommaso, because we still don't know. But for them, to have to deal with all that, it is a lot. So I think he felt bad, but at the end of the day, he got a job to do. So it shouldn't matter. It's like at the end of the day, he can't care about that. His job is tracking down these guys and finding Nancy. That's it.
So samples from other cases that may have identified a potential perpetrator could also be related to this case. So there is more information to glean from that. Then if you would want to do the familial testing right after that, that's going to be another round of testing and comparison. But again, this laboratory that is doing the work does have that in their wheelhouse. So all of that can happen pretty much now simultaneously if they do want to do a genealogy search with additional type of testing as well. I do want to clarify one thing so we don't put the whole genealogy community in the panic zone. But if they do
is this about saying 23andMe private testing labs? Go ahead.
Ancestry.com, and there's only a few places that you can actually allow law enforcement to search in the genealogy databases. That's Family Tree DNA and GEDmatch. So within those,
I'm telling y'all right now, I know exactly what's in that bag, though. 100% that what's in that bag is a change of clothes, guys. I'm guaranteeing you right now, if they ever find that bag, mark my words. Remember I said this. In that bag, if he ever tells on himself, if they find this guy, what's in that bag is a change of clothes. Guarantee you.
The genealogy search can happen for law enforcement, but Ancestry and the other genealogy companies are not allowing law enforcement to search at this time.
And as a matter of fact, that was one of the problems in the Brian Kohberger case.
Crown Royal, I haven't seen you yet. Big welcome. She says, I think someone paid this guy to take Nancy out. Someone wanted her gone. I'm up in the air on that one, man. Sometimes I want to believe that, and then other times I don't. But at the same time, I don't believe that this was a burglary gone wrong. So I have to agree with you on that somewhat. I don't know about the paid part, because I feel like these guys thought they were just going to all get paid if the ransom plays a part in all of this. However, if that ransom doesn't, then your theory would be correct, I would believe.
Certain private genealogical testing labs were used, reportedly, which would have opened up a whole can of worms. What this means
As a LA Connection, big welcome, by the way. I haven't
do
seen you yet. Welcome to the stream here.
You don't agree to have your DNA out there.
Tiger says, what's up, man? You think there was two people? Yes, indeed. Like I was telling everyone yesterday, I do physical therapy. I transfer patients every day. I know what dead weight feels like. We have patients who we call maxes, and they cannot bear any weight on their legs. They're not able to stand whatsoever. They're not able to help you transfer them from the bed to the wheelchair at all. And normally those patients we Hoyer, so we use a machine to Hoyer those patients into the wheelchair. However, some of them we don't, and we just lift them. We just lift dead weight. And a 150-pound person could feel like 300 pounds. And I'm not over-exaggerating at all, but if they were to go in that home and then they did kill Nancy right away, dead weight is nothing to play with. And if you even it doesn't really matter how strong you are. I guess you would have to be out of the ordinarily strong to carry Nancy especially a long distance if these guys didn't have a car, but we're very much certain that they had a car. They had to have a car. That neighborhood's just too far away from the lights, street lights, in order to carry her anywhere. And they were there just too quick to be able to bury her body or do anything with her body, to dispose of the body in any way. So we're very certain that they had a vehicle, for sure. But yes, there's definitely more than one person, for sure. I think when he was at the door, and as you clearly see, like when you see that guy, let's go to the video real quick. When you see that guy in the video, let me just skip through a few of these. I think I had the video up somewhere on here. Maybe I didn't. But when you look at this guy in the video, you can clearly tell that this guy is 100% comfortable. That's one of the things that we noticed in that video. He looks all but maybe one time down the road real quick, and not even down the road because you can't see the road. He just kind of looks, takes a little look. Maybe he hears something or he's just trying to listen for something real quick. But right as he grabs that leaf there, I think at one point in time, right there, he just kind of looks real quick. Not even really looking, just to look for anything in particular. Just looks right there. He just looks. Tells me he's very comfortable. I feel like right there, right now, at this point, when he's at the door, he's just kind of casually bored. It's like the dude is a child. Like he ain't got nothing to do, so he's just gonna figure out a way to cover the door while he's waiting for his buddy to open up the door. We still haven't saw the back of the door, but I believe that door in the back is messed up because I know they forced their way in the back. I'm for sure they forced their way in the back. If I'm breaking in a home, I'm probably going through the back and not the front. Just cause I think that's how most people go about their camera systems too. They're most of everyone's camera setup is devoted to the front of their house, not the back. But although Nancy did have several cameras in the back from what I saw in a few pictures, I don't know if they were there at this time. And I don't know exactly what and where her cameras were actually placed. As far as the ones, besides the Ring camera, but I'm for certain this guy was waiting for his buddy to come open up that door, you bet you. But definitely took two guys to carry him. I think if it wasn't two, it was three. And because they, even if they're calm like they are, they gotta move. They gotta move quick. They still can't. They still gotta move with some type of sense of urgency, because they don't want to be seen, and they know time it's critical, man. It's critical. It doesn't matter how comfortable you are. If you're robbing a home, or you're, going into somebody's house to try to kill them, time is critical. And you don't know what you missed or if you missed anything. And the fact that they didn't really miss anything camera-wise, just camera-wise, tells me that they've been there before and they know the home. And if they haven't been there and they don't know the home, someone told them what to look for at the home. And being her house is so dang big, and you see how clear it looks just looking through satellite. All houses are very clear. It wouldn't be hard to pull that phone up, go over, a quick little plan, and let someone know where the cameras are at. Just point out every little spot of where those cameras are at. So to me, it's either one of the two. It only has to be one of the two. And it was just too fast for them for me at least, for them to go in and find Nancy's room so fast. But for all we know, Nancy heard them. She panicked. She couldn't find her phone. And by the time they got to her, things just went left for whatever reason. But the question here's the question for me. I don't see how anyone would have a hard time dealing with an 84-year lady, no matter how irate she is, especially me being a man. I don't feel like I would have personally, I don't feel like I would have a hard time with an 84-year-old lady. Although I know that a mistake could happen if I were to knock that old lady out, you do have to keep in mind an 84-year-old lady is fragile, so she might not be able to take somebody knocking her out and survive that punch. But I think she would have survived the punch. I think these guys went in there and they were there for Nancy, and I don't feel like that ransom plays any part in this at all. I feel like the goal was to unalive her. I think that was the goal. I mean, otherwise, I think she would have still been alive, and there would have been proof of life if that was the goal in mind for them to hold her for ransom. I don't think it would have been that difficult to get an 84-year-old out of her home without killing her. But that's just me.
There to be used in criminal testing or any other testing. So it's a privacy issue for everyone that uses the website. That said, first to CODIS and then to genetic genealogy. And again, that is how one of the worst killers was brought to justice.
And one more thing that was kind of crazy to me. There was an FBI that came on the TV the other day. Black guy, I'm sure you guys seen him. He spoke several times. And I believe I can't remember the guy's name or what podcast it was, but he mentioned the way Nancy's dirt is. It would be very difficult for them to get a footprint from that dirt and tire marks. And I don't think tire marks would do them any justice anyways. But I thought that was interesting as well. He had said something else that I wanted to bring to y'all attention, but I can't remember right now. It'll come to mind in a minute.
Just a former cop, Joseph D'Angelo, the Golden State Killer, through genetic genealogy.
That's what I was going to say. He mentioned that they fooled those cell phone towers. And because remember in the beginning, they were talking about pulling the cell phone towers. So he pulled the cell phone towers. And somehow, some way, that's how that led those guys to Carlos, the guy that got pulled over outside of the border. That was just about, I think it was in Rio Rico or just outside of Rio Rico. Well, when they pulled those cell phone towers, they found that guy. And I guess that guy, I believe he worked for Amazon. Anyway, that's how they found the guy that worked for Amazon. But what didn't make any sense at all to me was the fact that we all know that Amazon isn't out at 10 o'clock, 11, 12, 1 in the morning. So what were they doing, bro? Because, I mean, why would we take... I don't get it, man. Maybe they thought the Amazon guy saw something in her home and decided to come back and rob the thing himself. I guess, but Amazon is not out later than 9 o'clock. And I'm just saying that to be on the safe side. I never see Amazon out past 9. Personally, I'm going to say earlier, but I'm going to just be on the safe side. I don't see Amazon out very late.
Okay, so we've got the glove. You've got a contaminated crime scene, which is out in the open, by the way. 16 gloves that we know of were found. Many of those could have been tossed by anybody, not a searcher, but maybe a searcher. This, as we understand, a pool cleaning crew was allowed on the scene. It never ends with the scene being open. That said, there was another
DoorDash driver too
on Friday night. What happened, Dave Mack?
Friday night, Nancy, 2 separate locations.
But DoorDash drivers are out very late, by the way, though. Because I used to do Uber Eats. 16 gloves is insane. But, I mean, if that's going to narrow it down, then let's do it.
Okay.
Whatever it takes to get Nancy back, let's do it.
And the FBI conducted this massive late-night SWAT operation just before midnight. We've got SWAT descending on a home in Tucson, and they get 3 people detained, 2 guys and their mom, apparently. But while this is going on, the SWAT team at the house, about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home, the FBI has a Range Rover pulled over in a parking lot of a restaurant. That Range Rover person is also detained. So we've got 4 people detained at the same time by SWAT and the FBI and deputies. We've got the Range Rover, a gray Range Rover, that is searched while officers actually held up like a white sheet, blocking the view from cameras to see what they were looking for in the back of that.
Yeah, they definitely got something, but I don't know if that was related to what was going on. I don't know if that's related to Nancy Guthrie at all, but they definitely got something from that guy. And what was super confusing to me, that really raised a red flag to me, is when because first of all, if I have nothing to lose and I'm getting all this media attention and I get pulled over by police, I don't think I'm covering my face at all. I don't even think it's necessary at all. I have nothing to lose, so whatever. But not everyone thinks that way. I think there was a couple guys that were pulled over up in Marana too. I'm not too sure. I'm not sure. I think these two guys might have been the guys, and it's quite funny that they're wearing the same clothes, that got held up over there at the are these the two guys? I don't know if we got a picture at all when they did detain those two guys at the Airbnb. I don't know if those are the guys or this is a whole different type of situation, but I did I believe it was JLR who pulled that up right there, and I'm not too sure if that was pertaining to the actual event that happened that night that they raided that home. But whatever they found in there, I would really like to know if that has any relations with Nancy Guthrie. Now, that night they did say that it did have something it had related issues with the whole Nancy Guthrie disappearance. But we've yet to hear them touch up on this particular incident yet. Yet have we heard any press conference from the FBI or sheriff.
SUV, the Range Rover, and they actually swarmed in both these locations. They interviewed all three at the house. They interviewed the Range Rover guy, and then, Nancy, they towed the Range Rover away and let everybody go.
Okay, I don't like the way you said that, Dave Mack. I know, guys, you're seeing video from our friends at Fox News. I feel and empathize with your let him go. Okay, because again, after the last catch and release, everybody's hopes were dashed. You think finally we've caught the perp, we're going to find Nancy Guthrie, she's going to be alive. And then the person's released. Okay, that was Palazuelos, Carlos Palazuelos. Now we've got neighbors about a mile-ish away from Nancy Guthrie's home. There was a big bust. The SWAT team rolled out. The armored vehicles rolled out. We thought, okay, now it's going to be solved. We're going to find Nancy Guthrie alive. And they were released. Another catch and released. I hear your disappointment. But straight out to Scott Eichert joining us, digital forensics expert, founding member of the FBI CAST Cellular Analysis Survey team. FBI 22 years, former police officer, homicide with Norfolk, Virginia PD, and currently at Precision Cellular Analysis. Scott, thank you for being with us tonight. This is how I think they're zoning in on A, Palazuelos, and B, those detained over the weekend that have now been released through cell phone data. Explain.
In these cases, we do a tower dump where we're getting probably thousands of phones that might have been in that area around the time Nancy Guthrie went missing. So we're now finally starting to get through all that data, trying to figure out which ones are normally there, like neighbors, and which ones may have been passing through. And then once you get the phone number, then you have to figure out, all right, who's actually using this phone number? Is it a fake name on the subscriber? So then you have to figure out, all right, where may that phone be?
Yeah, but Nanos had said that he really didn't make no sense, because Nanos said that no one was suspects and the family was ruled out as suspects. But then he went on to say that this is investigation and no one is ruled out as suspects. So it didn't really make any sense. And if he knows and understands how to conduct an investigation, he shouldn't be telling anybody at all that they're ruled out, because they have not found at all whatsoever the suspect. So until otherwise, everyone is still a factor, and they remain to be a suspect. So until then, everyone's going to believe what they believe.
And I suspect that these stops, the last couple you were just talking about, are results of either LPRs or phones being in the area. Now they're just trying to track it down, see who's actually using those phones, and if they're related to the Nancy Guthrie case.
This, as we learn, FBI, they must have been watching Crime Stories, because as soon as the front porch video was released, our awesome staff in New York, Atlanta, Texas, and beyond got together and realized that the backpack was an Ozark from Walmart. Within, I would say, an hour of seeing it, Angelica and others had identified it. Also, our staff identified the jacket, we believe coming from Walmart, and even the ski mask. But now...
Hey, I got a question for you guys. Are there Walmarts in Mexico? Maybe I should look that up. Because if these guys went to Mexico, or they did this before they came here in Mexico, there's no way we're going to even be able to probably figure out whether or not they purchased that from Walmart. And it's going to be more difficult to figure it out if they ordered this from Walmart as well.
You're validated. Law enforcement revealing the clothes worn by the front porch perp were bought at Walmart. Okay, to Iker again. I will never forget watching Top Mom Casey Anthony on either Walmart or Target video.
Man, Casey
buying
Anthony,
beer
that was the
and
first
push-up bra
investigation I watched, or case.
while her daughter Keely was missing. And it's happened in so many cases I can't even begin to count them, where a perp is caught on video. Men, why do they always buy a tarp? It's always a tarp and cleaning supplies. That said, what's the next step now that we know these items are bought at Walmart?
Once we get that type of information, and we do this with the cell phones too, with burner phones, we backtrack to where those items were purchased so that we can actually hopefully find video of those actual purchases. And as you know, the Walmarts and the Targets, they have fantastic video, and those are really clear. So that does.
The problem is it's been so long that I don't know if Arizona Walmarts are going to do it. I think we're going to have to go beyond that and go to other states. I mean, the fact that it's been almost 3 weeks now, it's time. They have to. I mean, these guys could have gotten so far by now. It's ridiculous, man. And I almost want to think that this suspect is winning right now. I feel like he's winning. We've yet to prove we're in control of this thing and we're going to make things happen. The only stunning thing we've got is this video. That's it.
Normally help us to.
And supposedly incoming DNA results. When that'll be, I don't know.
To identify who actually had those items, purchased those items, or is using that cellular device.
Don't you know the FBI is pouring through local Walmart video?
Man, Shannon, remember the Casey Anthony case? I might do a video on the Casey Anthony case because I really know about that case, and that was the first case I ever watched. That was a real interesting case. Not to get off topic, though. Let's continue.
You said something that pierced my heart, Scott Iker. Again, you mentioned that Walmart also sells burner phones. You can identify cell number.
Wow, that's really good to know. I hate to stop the video again, but Tiger says there is a Walmart, just got back from Mexico 2 weeks ago. Wow, insane.
Heart, Scott Iker. Again, you mentioned that Walmart also sells.
I was hoping you were going to say
phones.
there's not.
You can identify cell numbers in the area. I think that's how they got Carlos Palazuelos. I think that's why they honed in on the neighbor that has been released. because their cell phone is active around the time Nancy Guthrie goes missing, and they've done a data dump, and they're isolating phones used in the area in that neighborhood in those hours and then expanding. Burner phones are a particular problem for CAST. Explain the problem with burner phones.
Well, we all kind of normal citizens have postpaid phones. We use the phone and then we pay our bill. But most of the criminal element world uses burner phones or prepaid phones. And when you go into Walmart, you can buy the phone and buy time, minutes for that phone. And you don't have to put a name on it because you've already paid the phone company. What they want is their money.
I don't think these guys got burner phones. Let's just be real. But you never know. If they were that smart, then they ain't catching these guys. I'm sorry. If they were smart enough to get burner phones, these guys were on a different level. Let's just say.
So you don't have to put a real name or a real address or anything on there. We've seen Bugs Bunny or Roger Rabbit or anything you want to put in the subscriber information or nothing at all. So then we have to figure out who actually has that phone and who's using it.
And that is where the incredible video at Walmart will come into play. So what he's saying in Regular People Talk is you can buy a burner phone under any name, not your own. Unlike your AT&T or your VZW or your T-Mobile bill where it's your name and your address. And yeah, you can track that in about a split second. A burner phone, no. You have to find out where was the burner phone bought. Was it on a credit card so you can trace the perp? Was it on video? Walmart has great video. NASA could take a lesson from Walmart. That said, it's a much more in-depth process because you could even pay with cash. So you may never know, if it weren't for the video, who bought the burner phone used outside Nancy Guthrie's home at the time she was kidnapped. Okay, another thing happened over the weekend, and this is amazing. Dave Mack, tell me about the drone search for Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker.
Nancy, this is something that in reality...
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I wanted to talk about this because that's one thing I mentioned earlier that we were going to talk about tonight. But I'm not going to talk about it for too long. It's just, we could go on forever about everything, obviously. But so they got a helicopter and it had a signal sniffer on it. And I guess some guy, I'm guessing, is what I heard. Don't, correct me if I'm wrong. Don't quote me on it. But apparently this signal sniffer is supposed to be able to, how when your cell phone is able to pick up on a Bluetooth or your AirPods get close to it, supposedly this thing was able to track those things if the helicopter is able to fly low enough. And apparently they're going to get a drone and to attach it to that too. The weirdest part for me was the fact that they were flying this thing over Nancy's home. We already know that Nancy's gone, so why would we be flying that over Nancy's home? To verify whether or not she's buried in her backyard? I think we're pretty much strong enough on the fact that she was taken out of her home and there's no remains whatsoever of Nancy there. So I don't know why they would be flying the helicopter over her home, and I don't know what other places besides her home that they took that helicopter and flew it over. But what I do know is, after doing research, it does say that a pacemaker can last from 5 to 15 years, and at the very minimum, weeks or months if a person is deceased. So I'll repeat it one more time. A pacemaker can last about 5 to 15 years if the person is deceased, and at the very minimum, months down to weeks. So the chance of her pacemaker working is up in the air. But it's worth the shot because we're at that point where we're trying to do anything and everything to bring Nancy back home. I understand that. But it's almost like at the same time, are we dumb? Because I don't really know first of all, how safe that would be flying a helicopter so low. From what I heard, the helicopter has to be within 50 feet in order for it to detect any type of device like Bluetooth or what we're really trying to search for, which is, signs of a pacemaker. I just don't really think it's a very good idea. It just doesn't really sound like that's going to work. I'm sorry. We're going to have to figure something else out.
Is an incredible technology tool using a drone that is outfitted to actually locate the Bluetooth signal that is sent from the pacemaker back to the Apple Watch. They've been able to fly these drones at low level where they can find these Bluetooth signals, and they've been flying them in a cross-grid pattern at low levels all over the Guthrie neighborhood, as well as areas of the desert.
So if you guys want to see what this looks like, I have a picture roughly of what this looks like. And I'm going to be honest, it's really not the best picture. I think somebody really actually kind of made this up. I don't even know if I want to even show this picture. I mean, it just really isn't. We'll show it anyways, just so you guys can get an idea of what it's supposed to look like. Honestly, don't even think we would see it. Maybe not. But I think it really would technically be like a rope hanging from a helicopter with some type of detector on it, which would make more sense if it was long enough so they could fly higher. The helicopter wouldn't have to get necessarily too low, as long as they're able to, I guess, drop that thing down off of a rope and then let it play its course, I guess. But a helicopter would have to sit in a place for a very long time and move very slowly, just to see what they could detect. But I just don't think this is going to be sufficient enough to do what we, to find Nancy. And I feel like it could also turn out to be a waste of time. This is a look at it. But I feel like it could just be a waste of time, man. It just doesn't sound like something that's going to be effective. But that's just my opinion.
They began 4 days out using helicopters, flying very low and doing a grid search. And they were also using technology then to try to locate the pacemaker. But the drones take it to a whole new level with different technology that really does zero in specifically on this pacemaker Bluetooth.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here between the grocery store.
You know what's interesting here, and let me throw this back to Fitzgibbons, Brian Fitzgibbons, USPA Nationwide Security. A viewer wrote me and said at the very beginning,
man, RS says if it has to move so slow and low, might as well just use a vehicle, right? With a nice long pole on it, I mean, I don't see it working, man. I really don't. I mean, and I feel like I can reach more difficult areas than a helicopter. Come on, a helicopter? Are you kidding me? A helicopter is limited on where it can land, for crying out loud. And it's also limited on where it can fly. So I don't really think that's going to be a good idea.
They strap a device to a dog, a device that would pick up
Edith Matthews,
the frequency
welcome
of the pacemaker.
Guys, by the way, I'm going to stop it one more time, and I'm going to let it play through for a bit before I stop it again. But don't forget to like the stream. Shouts and big salutes to everybody plugging in tonight. Don't forget to like the stream. It helps the algorithm of the stream. And subscribe if you're enjoying the channel. I know I got a lot of work to do. I'm working on it. Got to get better with a lot of things, but we'll get there. We'll get there. This is my first time kind of analyzing and kind of reacting to videos. So we're going to perfect this one day. We are. I'm very, very confident. Let's continue.
Walk it through the neighborhood. Walk it all around the neighborhood and get other dogs with the same apparatus and go out and out and out and out, since we are pretty convinced someone that knew Nancy Guthrie is responsible for her kidnap. And at first I'm like, outfitted dog. it wasn't that bad of an idea. And I started thinking about.
Oh, Crown. By the way, thanks for the correction. I like when people correct me, man. That's why I like the viewers here, man, because they might have more insights than I have insights. But Crown says, Crown Royal, that is. He says nope. And G said 800 to 1,000 feet. I'll look that up while we're watching the video.
About it, and I began researching how can you track a pacemaker, all because of what that viewer wrote me. You cannot track a pacemaker in that once it's away from its Bluetooth, it's no longer sending information to the doctor's office or the clinic or the hospital. That ends. It doesn't have GPS in it. But the viewer wasn't half wrong. She was all right, because they can't be traced through that Bluetooth frequency. It may not be connecting to the clinic or the doctor, but it's still emitting. It's brilliant, Fitzgibbons. Explain to me how they're doing this. How low do the drones have to fly?
Yeah, so the viewer's logic was spot on, right? And this technology has been around for a good amount of time and had a fair degree of success, particularly in search and rescue operations. All right, so these could be used after a natural disaster or, a hiker lost in the mountains. The distance is going to vary, right? Anywhere from 30 to hundreds of feet in the air. It's all going to depend on the power of that signal being emitted. So I don't think there's an exact science on the pacemaker and how far the drone would need to be. But what I can tell you.
So it does go on to say right here, signal sniffer technology, particularly when mounted on drones or helicopters, is designed to detect the low power Bluetooth, low energy BLE signal emitted by modern pacemakers with specialized, highly sensitive equipment capable of detecting these signals from as far as 1,000 feet away. However, in typical environments, this range is much lower. So there's that catch at the end right there. So I think that's why they narrowed it down to 50 feet. But you are correct, Royal.
As they'll be able to zero in on the signal that pacemaker creates to filter out all the noise, because unlike a massive grid search in a remote area that these search and rescue applications are used to, this is flying over populated areas where there's going to be a lot of signal noise that they have to filter out.
And Brian, here's the good news about pacemakers. My dad had a pacemaker. My mom has a pacemaker. Everyone's asking, what if the battery runs out? Batteries in pacemakers usually last 5 to 15 years, with 7 to 12 years being the normal time the battery will last. Why? Because to change a battery in a pacemaker, you actually have to operate. It's probably a simple operation, but you still have to go in. The person has the pacemaker in their chest, and you have to change the batteries. So you don't want to do that very often with a heart patient. So the norm is 7 to 12 years, 5 at the earliest, 15 at the longest. So I'm not worried about the battery going out. Now, very quickly, I want to follow up. Just joining us now, special guest, Dr. Bethany Marshall. She is a renowned psychoanalyst out of Beverly Hills. She's the author of Deal Breaker. You can see her now on Peacock, and you can find her at drbethanymarshall.com. Dr. Bethany, when I showed that video of Savannah Guthrie, it broke my heart. When I saw it for the first time, I felt nauseous thinking about Savannah. She is so exhausted, and she's not giving up.
Indeed.
No, she is not, Nancy. And she goes out and she makes these statements without the studio lighting, the studio makeup, any of the trappings of her profession, which she could use to try to appeal to whoever took her mother. But she is coming out just as herself. And in the very first video, Nancy, she keeps using the word you. She's trying to form a relationship with whoever the perpetrator is. And in this one, when she says that she believes that there's goodness in everyone, she's trying to create empathy. That empathy on the part of the perpetrator towards her family. She's not coming out harsh or angry or we're going to come after you or we're going to find you. Nothing punitive, Nancy. She is soft. She is engaged. And Nancy, I kind of feel like she might know who she's speaking to. She's looking into somebody's eyes and heart metaphorically and saying, I know you, you know me.
What do y'all think? Do you guys think that Nancy might just know who she's talking to? I thought she had a very interesting point there. I don't know if she's aware of who she's talking to. I can't really say that, but it is questionable. It's highly questionable.
She is engaged. And Nancy, I kind of feel like she might know who she's speaking to. She's looking into somebody's eyes and heart metaphorically and saying, I know you, you know me, we are both human beings. Please, please bring my mother back. And she's sort of implying no consequences as well, which of course there will be consequences.
I think she's trying to relate. I don't feel like she knows who she's speaking to. But, I mean, come on now. If Harvey's been in contact with somebody, she's definitely in contact with somebody, or she could be.
You know me, we are both human beings. Please, please bring my mother back. And she's sort of implying no consequences as well, which of course there will be consequences, but she's also trying to remove fear on the part of the perpetrator.
Well, I can tell you this, Coles Rude. I'm going to go back to Bethany in one moment. The consequences will be a hell of a lot worse if Nancy Guthrie dies.
Absolutely.
Dang, why did Nancy say it like that? Oh my goodness, man. Yeah, that's why you gotta love Nancy, man. I mean, but she didn't have to say it like that. Nancy Grace, by the way. Jeez. That kind of hurt the way she said that. My goodness.
The consequences will be a hell of a lot worse if Nancy Guthrie dies.
I mean, she didn't have to put it like that.
Bethany, one
That's
moment.
like a nightmare that you keep in your
consequences
head.
will be a hell of a lot worse if Nancy Guthrie dies.
Absolutely. You know, in Arizona, we certainly have a reputation for using the death penalty. And this certainly would be a case that would qualify if she is later found to have passed away. Now, what's interesting about this case is that there may be a parallel prosecution. And we've seen this.
By the way, Tucson, I've been in Tucson all my life. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. I still currently live here. Tucson didn't have a death penalty for the longest time. Ever since I've been in Tucson, we've never had the death penalty. The death penalty is something that's fresh here. I want to say it started in 2022. We never had the death penalty, so I'm surprised that came about. Somebody mentioned something in the chat that I wanted to touch up on because I seen something that kind of. What did he just say right now? Crown Royal says it's not for the money. She would pay anything to get her mom back. Crown Royal, I gotta disagree with you on that because the first initial video that Savannah put out, she said that we understand and we will pay. You remember those words? And dealing with somebody with a ransom, real or fake, just taking everything seriously and going about it in a real way. Personally, for me, if I have $6 million in the bank, I'm sending it, and I'm wasting no time because every bit of time matters. And I feel like this is one of the interesting points that I made yesterday. I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, but I feel like enough of the world is involved for me to just take the chance And don't get me wrong, it's a lot of money. $6 million, don't get it twisted. It's a lot of money. But I feel like enough of the world is in tune with this Nancy Guthrie thing and involved enough to where if Savannah started a GoFundMe, I want to know what y'all think that would end up, the amount would end up to. Let me know, chat. What do y'all think? If Savannah started a GoFundMe, how much money would it run up to? Let's just say Savannah set her goal. And let's make it easy. Let's say Savannah set her goal to 500,000. Would it go beyond that? And if it would go beyond that, how much beyond that would it go? And if you feel like it would go beyond that to a substantial amount, and I get it, she's grieving, she has a lot going on, so she's probably not thinking this through. Trump, I believe, mentioned that he would pay already. What do you think she would get back, though, if she were to go ahead and say, you know what? And by the way, her husband seems like a very wealthy man himself. I don't know if Savannah has the money. I know she's worth $40 million, but things in life happen. I think she helps Andy and Tommaso a lot. She looks like a type of person that would help her sister out. From what I heard on and off camera, Savannah is a very real, down-to-earth person, and she doesn't change herself no matter the setting. But I think that there's many sources just beyond, even beside her just making a GoFundMe. There's many other sources that she could look into to get her money back. So something tells me that they didn't believe at moments in time that this ransom was true. Because after they stated that they would pay, you remember that very next day they came back on and they just wanted to see proof of life to move forward with that. And then time went on and went on and went on, and no one ever sent the money. And to me, that could be possibly something that Savannah may regret for the rest of her life. And even if she doesn't regret it, she's always going to think about it.
Before in Arizona, in another high-profile case, Senator Mark Kelly, his wife, Gabby Giffords, was shot and almost killed, along with federal judge John Roll. In those two cases, you both had the federal prosecutors prosecuting at the same time as the state. And what I found really interesting, Nancy, is that on Friday, the feds executed a federal search warrant, not a state search warrant. And this could be an indication of the friction that is happening between the feds and the state. Because I'll tell you, when I was both a state prosecutor and a federal prosecutor, when I was on the state side, I often worked with the FBI, and I would draft and issue the subpoenas. What I would never expect would be for the same FBI agents to go to the U.S. Attorney's Office to do their own parallel investigation, cutting me out of it. So this is a really interesting development.
Should the sniffer technique have been used earlier?
I have two gripes about this, Nancy. The first is, in any missing persons case, the most important time to gather and collect evidence is at the very beginning. And by all reports, this so-called sniffer technology wasn't used for at least 2 weeks after Nancy Guthrie was discovered missing. Also, what I don't like about this move is to tell the public what it's doing with that type of technology, because you're signaling to the bad guys that we're looking for your Bluetooth devices. And, bad guys have been known to try to destroy evidence.
Indeed, man, 100%. He had a very good point there. And that's one thing I had pointed out when JLR had about 100,000 people watching, and they were chasing down pretty much every call that pertained to the Nancy Guthrie case going on. And I feel like as somebody that was running from the law or running from something that could get me in big, big trouble, I'm listening to everything, you know, and I'm watching my back. And there's no way that somebody's not reaching out like, hey, you know, hey, there's somebody looking for you right now. Like, there's no way. I mean, there's too many people involved for other people not to reach out. And not that these guys told anybody. No one probably knows. These guys it's probably within that circle of whoever was there that night and that they took Nancy. So, I mean, but still, I'm still going to watch my back and look out for myself, especially if I'm out here in the city. You know, I'm not going to just go quiet and not be in tune to the news, because I think that news, as someone who is a suspect, is just only going to help me try to hide and get away. And I think that could be the biggest issue of them letting those guys go the other night, for the suspects that were detained in the raid and the suspect that they caught at the Culvers. If these happen to be the suspects, I'm kind of concerned whether or not we're going to be able to get these guys again, because we have to retrack these guys down again. And if that was the Airbnb, I hope they have their real home. And even if it wasn't, we saw JLR go back and no one was home. So that was super red flag to me, considering that no one was home. Although I did hear that they could have been held for 24 hours, and that's the longest they could hold you, you know, when they feel like you could be responsible for somebody, you know, dying. So I don't know. It's just a lot of things to think about here, and I feel like we just going to have to be patient throughout this whole thing.
They don't get caught. And I would be concerned that this could put Nancy Guthrie in mortal peril should the bad guys be listening to the reports on TV.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. Please join us on Crime Stories and stream it first on Fox 1. When breaking crime news develops, we investigate it and bring it to you. Bombshell updates.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Harvey should not be putting this out. It's getting kind of frustrating. Harvey putting himself right in the middle of it. And I feel like since the FBI has been just as quiet about it, they've been very quiet about this. They haven't been giving us, all they have given us is that video. And with that being said, I think Harvey should be smart enough to not give us anything else either. You know, just as he's doing, he should be sending it to them, and that's it. There shouldn't be no getting on live and expressing it to the world, you know, especially if somebody's life is at risk here. You know, for all we know, Harvey could have played a big role in this as far as what actually happened to Nancy. You know, I'm just throwing things out there, you know. I'm not saying that he is, but, you know, I'm just kind of throwing things out there. And I don't think it's kind of disrespectful to me, in a sense, because he's putting himself in the middle of it. And it's almost like because they're in contact with him, he should be in contact with Savannah and the family at this point.
Answers to unanswered questions, from cases making the headlines and cases you may never have heard of until Crime Stories. We go inside investigations with exclusive interviews, crime victims, families seeking justice, investigators, experts, and sources from within the case itself. Stay on top of the nation's biggest trials with us, including gavel-to-gavel coverage with real-time analysis. Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. Stream it first on Fox 1.
We'll check and see if the command post is doing that. I actually did send a message to Cast on
real-time analysis. Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. Stream it first on Fox 1. I hope to see you there, and thank you, friend.
You know, I want to go back to Scott Eicher, founding member of CAST. Scott, can I see Scott, please? Is it true that you suggested to CAST the use of the drones to try to find that Bluetooth frequency being emitted from Nancy's pacemaker?
I actually did say send a message to Cast on Saturday, so 2 days ago. I said, "Hey, has anybody thought about using the Bluetooth sniffer to go out and see if they can capture the signal by Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker?" Um, they said, "Well, I don't know, but we'll check and see if the command post is doing that." And then the next day, it came out on the media that they were doing that. So I don't know if I provided them to do that. I have a feeling they were doing that ahead of time. It just hit me later on in the investigation. Now, this device I've used before. It's very short range. I was surprised they were trying to do it from a helicopter at one point in time. Definitely vehicles or low-flying drones, because the distance for Bluetooth, as
Somebody
you might
mentioned
know,
that in the chat earlier. They just said to use a vehicle. That was a very interesting point that somebody made, and even from the guy himself, he said a vehicle would have been a good idea, as well as a drone. But he did mention that it does have to be very low, which makes it so that 1,000 feet isn't all that true, you know?
Away from your phone with your earbuds in, it's like 30, 40 feet at the most. So they're going to have to get really close to this, any Bluetooth device to be able to grab its signal. So they're going to have a lot of work, but I think it's a great tactic to be using.
Well, you're right, Ikert, because recall we heard at the beginning, once Nancy was 20 feet away from, I think it was 20 feet away from the Bluetooth connection, the pacemaker information.
Yeah, indeed. JLR definitely very much so gave him a head start if these guys were watching, for sure. But yeah, to RS here in the chat, he said it encourages more fakes to muddy waters even more due to the fact of what Harvey's doing at TMZ. And yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. And one thing I did want to mention tonight is people really need to stick to the facts and not spread rumors. Some of us haven't represented public health very well. And, the one thing I want to ask the community and the audience is to just try not to put random people out there that you think could be a suspect. Make sure that the facts you have are actually facts. Because just remember, man, these people that are just thrown out there, they got to live with this for the rest of their life. And just understand that this stuff on the internet, it doesn't go away. It's there forever. So just be careful what you say out there, man, because people are getting detained for no reason out there, and things are happening to people for no reason. I think we've seen that a lot in life. And those type of things have gone viral many, many times. So we are fully aware of false allegations and whatnot, how those things could pan out. So just wanted to say that, we do got to be careful with the messages or tips that we put out there, because that could potentially ruin someone else's life. And that's not what we're here for, man. We're trying to really find Nancy. We're not trying to troll on the internet, but I know everybody's purpose on the internet isn't the same. But I think that people need to be more mature.
Ended. To Dr. Bethany Marshall joining us. Dr. Bethany, you mentioned how Savannah was creating a connection with the perp, evoking empathy. Who would take an 84-year-old grandma and use her this way? We know it's a man. We know it is a Hispanic male or a swarthy, olive-complected male. We know that there's facial hair. We know his height, between 5'9" and 5'11". We know his medium build. But who is this guy, Bethany?
Well, Nancy, he's only the face of the crime. As Brian Fitzgibbon said on one of the shows, he's just a foot soldier. He's an amateur, Nancy, multiple gloves potentially. Looks like he has multiple jackets on, potentially a tarp in his backpack. He does not know that the camera is there. This is not a very high-functioning guy. Porch perp is not. So putting together the behavioral clues that you and the panel have been discussing, I wouldn't be surprised if he went himself to Walmart. He'd have to make the purchase himself because he knows his size, jacket, shoe, glove size, all of that. I wouldn't be surprised to learn that everything is all on one receipt, even perhaps the burner phone. So that narrows the search a little bit. In terms of a non-custodial kidnapping, Nancy, normally that is to control the victim, whether it's a child or a young adult. In this case, we have a geriatric person, an older person, but for what reason would they control the victim? Something that has come to mind, Nancy. Oh, and by the way, with the gloves, I'm not surprised about the 16 gloves because we have websuit sleuths all over the place out there, also searching, interfering and helping, I don't know which way, and also this guy's wearing multiple gloves potentially. So I wouldn't be surprised, I'm not surprised to learn that they're picking up multiple gloves out there. But think about your mother, Nancy, and how proud she has been over the years of you having your own TV show. I'm sure she goes to, or I know she's housebound now, but to her doctors, her physical therapists, her nutritionists, and talking about you and how proud she is of you. And I wouldn't be surprised to learn that there's somebody in Nancy Guthrie's medical community where she frequently visited, and she would talk about Savannah and all of her kids and how proud she is of them and how wonderful they are. And have you seen my daughter on TV? And if that didn't incite somebody who's down on their luck or wanted to control her as a victim in some way to say, oh gosh, this is my way out of my current financial predicament. But then whoever took her is not sophisticated enough to find a good way to get the money. And I think that's the paradox that's confusing everybody. You take this geriatric person for some purpose, but now what's the purpose? So they can't implement the purpose. So where does that put us in terms of this search? It's somebody who needed her for the purpose, but then couldn't implement the purpose itself.
Right. Tammy Ballard joining us, DNA expert. Tell me about, Tammy, phenotyping and how that could help.
Well, there's biogeographical analysis to give you sort of a visual aspect from where some of these people could come from and originate from, what their nationality is. That is testing that is also done pretty much simultaneously when they test for the genealogy to give somebody a little bit more of a idea of what this person may look like.
Yes, phenotyping, the process of measuring, analyzing physical, biochemical traits of the perp. It identifies traits in biology, medicine, agriculture. Deep phenotyping or digital phenotyping is a DNA-based prediction of physical attributes, color of hair, do they have freckles, the pigment of the skin, and so much more. Phenotyping could be used in this case. It's an additional tool used by law enforcement, and I've seen it work. Joining us tonight is a PR guru, Rob Shooter, author of a brand new book that's climbing the charts on Amazon.
Matthew, welcome to the stream. Big welcome to those of y'all tuning in. Don't forget to like the stream, guys, as well as subscribe. I appreciate those of y'all tuning in tonight. Y'all kind of tuning in on my way out, but that's okay because I did start off kind of late tonight. I have been lately due to a lot of things going on here at home. It is the third week. It is another day of nothing is pretty much what happened today. I mean, today we did get a DNA. We did get word that we had found DNA in Nancy's home. We don't know who that DNA matches up to yet. However, hopefully tomorrow we'll figure that out. Hopefully we'll get some type of news, an update. Hopefully they'll finally be able to crack this case. I think reporters are starting to get tired. I think the people are starting to get tired. I think people are just kind of starting to get overwhelmed with this whole thing just going on. we'll just have to stay patient, guys, and continue to stay locked in on the Nancy Guthrie thing. I'll continue to stay locked in until this thing comes to an end, or until we just kind of start to kind of just forget about it, I guess. We're never going to forget. That's one thing we're not going to do. But eventually, we're going to stop talking about this as much. If it comes down to that point and we don't find anybody, you know, people are getting tired. People are going to have to move on and do other things because there's other things that are going on. You know, I know this is a big thing and it's an awful thing and it's very sad. And it's taken a big toll on me more than ever. But unfortunately, it just we will have to move on, and hopefully we get what we're looking for, and that's Nancy coming home and putting these killers, potentially, if they are, or robbers behind bars. And it's crazy just to know that there's a monster out there somewhere, and we've still yet to track him down. And right now, he's making us look like a complete fool. He really is. And we look like we just don't have enough in the tank right now at this point to track these guys down and find them. And maybe we have already found these guys and we missed them, just like they missed things the several times they went out to her home and ended up finding nothing. It's just a very, very crazy situation that's gone everywhere, and we just don't know how this thing is going to pan out just because of everything panning out the way it has in the past 17 days that this has gone on. Guys, I want to thank y'all for stopping by and plugging in with me tonight. Tune in with me tomorrow around the same time. It's going to be 11 p.m. Mountain Time. That's around the time that I go live. Hopefully we'll have more to talk about tomorrow. I ran out of time tonight. I got to get going. Your boy got work in the morning, man. I got stuff to do. Guarantee you Nancy's been on my mind. She'll stay on my mind all day, every day, throughout work until I get home. We'll be back to talk about it again tomorrow. Much love, God. Much love, guys. Thanks so much for plugging in tonight. I will catch y'all tomorrow, my friends. See y'all later, baby. Who got the juice?